What's up, everybody? We are back in the lab today. Some of you have seen my videos before. I rig my own boat, electric units, graphs, everything like that, but my live scope is not clear. So I'm gonna do something a little different this year. Last year I used, and I did it again this year, my setup is I used actually the Skeeter power that was in it. You can see I have my black box in here, but I've always used it just straight from the power that was provided. And a lot of times when your live scope is not clear, from what I'm reading and seeing on everything, it's power issue. It's either not enough power, it's not grounded well. So I'm actually gonna build a separate bus bar, clean power, give it its own ground to make sure that that's never an issue. And full disclosure, guys, I am not a live scope guy. I don't like doing it, but we have to. If you wanna compete, you have to be able to utilize this awesome tool from Garmin. So that's what I'm gonna do. Something I did change this year is I went with this fish obsessed bracket. It actually pulls it away from the shaft and kind of moves it up a little bit. The tilt gets taken out of it, so there's no chance of like interference or anything like that. So just to kind of show you my power setup real quick. I only have two batteries. I have the 215 amp hour from Lithium Pro. This thing has got so much power, so that's what we're going to come off of. It has just got plenty of power. I got the big 36 volt Lithium Pro as well. Only two batteries. I'm pretty light, so we're going to run clean power to everything. Give it its own little bedroom or jacuzzi up there. That way, if anything ever happens or goes wrong, I know where it's at, know how to fix it. So we're going to make sure power is not an issue. So stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. All right, guys, we're kind of midway between rerunning power just for the black box, the live scope transducer. So I have 8-gauge wire running directly from my 215 volt Lithium Pro. I've run it directly all the way, clean power to right by my box. If you can see, there are two bus bars in there. One is for power, one is for ground. So the live scope box is going to have its own ground, its own clean power. Nothing's going to be interfering with it. Because it's clean power, you really can't turn it off. So adding a toggle switch here, and this is going to power only my box, the live scope box. I am also going to run clean power to my 12-inch Garmin. That's going to be live scope. So we're going to have complete clean power to the box, to the unit, so there will be no interference, nothing to drain power. So we'll see if this clears it up, but I have a pretty good idea it will. So here's a little caveat is, there's been talks of people running 16 volt lithium out. So when I get on the water with this thing, we're going to try it with the 215 12 volt, and then I'm going to take it out, and then I'm going to put the 16 volt in there to see if it really makes a difference. Some people says it does, some people says it doesn't. So I'm going to be able to tell on the water in real time if it makes a difference. So about halfway through, so I'll keep you guys updated. All right, guys, we're here. We're going to do the 3 test points today. You guys watched me rig the entire boat, got 8-gauge, got all the power separated from everything. So 3 test points. One is we're going to look at the live scope with the big Lithium Pro 215 amp hour battery, and that's everything connected to it, bilge pumps, electronics, and everything. So that's going to be the first test point. See how clear the screen is. We're pulled down right now in the deepest water that we can find, in the place that we're in, and we're going to leave everything in the same spot. So that's going to be the first test point. The second test point, we're going to put a 110 amp hour Lithium Pro 3110 by itself, removed from everything else. And then we're going to test out the 16 volt. This is not a custom battery. This is actually what Lithium Pros produces, and they're used like in drag racing cars. So they sent this to me just to see if a 16 volt actually makes a difference. So it's time to test it out, and let's see how they look. All right, so test point number 1, we've got the 215 amp hour, the 32215, I believe it is, Lithium Pro. This is with everything connected to it, including my live scope. So we're pulled down right now. I'm gonna leave this setup exactly in the same position, the same setup, same gain, same everything, but this is what it looks like. I'm on 72% gain. I think it could be cleaner. This is what everything together. That's the first test point, so we're going to leave it in the exact same spot. You can actually see there is some interference, there is some distortion, especially out to about 60 foot or so. See some boat wakes coming by, there's boats idling by us. And you can see a couple of fish out there, probably crappie, bluegill. So first test point. So let's hook up the 12 volt by itself. Let's see what happens. All right guys, test point number 2. So I've removed the clean power that runs up front to my bus bars, and I put the 3110 Lithium Pro by itself with nothing else connected to it. Let's check it out. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't see much difference. I still think it could be a little cleaner up here. You can still see some crappie and stuff out there. It's set to 100 foot. Gain is still 72. TG off, TBG off, ghost reject off, noise rejection on low. Keep it consistent, guys. I don't see a whole lot of difference here, to be honest with you. So, got the same voltage, got 13.4, 13.5 volts. This is clean directly from an individual battery. So I don't know. The next test point is going to be 16 volt. So we're about to put 16 volt on there and see if it makes any difference. And let's do test point number 3. All right, guys, test point number 3. Took off the individual 3110 12 volt. We now have connected the 16 volt by itself. That's running clean power, 8 gauge, all the way to the bus bar to a box. Got a toggle switch up here. The only thing, again, that this is powering is just the live scope box. This is just the 16 volt. Here we go. You guys can be the judge. As you can see, I have 17.1 to 17.3 volts coming from that 16 volt lithium. You know, it's really hard to tell, guys. Not a whole lot of difference between any 3 that I'm running. And again, you know, I did not have clean power run to this box. You know, I had it just everything rigged up with just Skeeter power. But now I have, as you can see, the 2 bus bars up there, so it's got its own ground, it's got its own power. I mean, it did clean up some whenever I ran the clean power, but I don't see a whole lot of difference. I mean, this one might be just a touch clearer, maybe a little bit, but as you can see, everything is set the exact same. Angle of the trolling motor, we've been pulled down just to make sure that everything exactly the same, but 17.1 volts. That's about the same, guys. I mean, gain set on the same thing, so you know, there you go. All right, guys, recap all 3 test points. Proof's in the pudding. There's just not much difference that I can tell. There might have been a hair more clarity with the 16 volt. Not enough to sit here and tell you that, you know, that cleaned it up any. Like I said, this thing clean power everywhere up front. The only thing with the last 2 test points with the 12 by itself, the 16 by itself, really cleared it up. 16, maybe a little bit. So the proof is in the pudding, guys. That 32215 Lithium Pro is a giant. It gives you plenty of power. I do not see a reason to run one standalone. You know, this is actually, and to kind of, I know some people say, well, maybe it wears down at the end of the day. This is our 2nd day of fishing. Have not charged these batteries at all. So that 215 volt, middle of the day on day 2, is still putting out plenty of power. The grounds are good. We have as clean as power as you can possibly run, but it just is not making a difference as far as clarity on my live scope. So, you know, you guys make your determination. You know, some people say that, you know, the higher the voltage, if you do a 16 volt, then it just doesn't drag on the battery as much to give you cleaner power throughout the day. So I don't know, guys. So Lithium Pros, guys, that 215 amp hour is absolutely the real deal. So I don't think I'm going to be running an individual battery just for my live scope and black box, because I think that 215 amp hour is everything that I need. It is, here we go again, even with test points, it is the one battery that I need. And again, we weren't doing this test points just to try to sell 16 volt from Lithium Pro, because they told me then, it was like, we don't want you to sell it. We don't want to sell it just to sell another battery. But if it gives you a competitive advantage and you see an absolute difference, then we'll make it. So I'm gonna call them and tell them, hey, I'm not seeing that big of a difference. So I hope this helps or kind of debunks some myths. Maybe there's some settings in there that I don't know about. I'm not a live scope absolute, hammer or anything like that, but I am a techie and I like to know how things work. So, but thanks for watching. I hope this helps, and you guys hit me with any questions that I can answer for you.